Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news. As I've been updating you, as I updated you today on the news regarding the Paul Pogba situation, I've been updating you on the David De Gea situation. We're going to be potentially discussing about that more on this video today. So before I do get into it, if you do manage to smash that like button, do it. On the video, or if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So we know potentially Jose Mourinho's obviously looking for reinforcements in the January transfer window. He reportedly signed 11 players, spent under £400 million. My opinion, I think Mourinho needs to go. I wouldn't trust Mourinho with this money. Potentially, he's looking to address the defensive issues. He wants to get a strong central defender in, and potentially he wants to get an attacker in as a backup option for Romelu Lukaku, because we know potentially Romelu Lukaku he's not in great form this season. Everyone talks about him being a big game bottler. His first touch, and I think we do potentially need a goal scorer in that team, because as you've seen with every game in the Premier League this season, basically we have won. We've potentially only won by a 1 goal deficit, apart from the Burnley game away, which was 2-0. So you can see the team's lacking creativity. There's no penetration, no speed. We can't string passes together. Tactically, we've got problems. Defensively, we've got problems as well. And potentially, as Mourinho said, he hasn't had, best relationships, especially with the top players, since he's come to the club. Confirmed in the interview, about Luke Shaw, who he had disputes with last season. He basically said about him and Marshall and Rashford and Lingard that lack Core Jones, they lack character, they lack personality, they lack matureness. He mentioned about them being spoiled kids. This is what Jose Mourinho had basically said. He's had disputes with Paul Pogba in the past as well, and the players unhappy with his managerial style, his style of play. Jose Mourinho, and he confirmed after the Palace game, he said it was a bad result. Did Jose Mourinho? And potentially he says we are lacking desire, we are lacking heart, and he says there wasn't enough intensity yesterday, and there wasn't enough pressing. And this is what Jose Mourinho's explained. What's this squad? We spent £1 billion basically in all managerial areas. Since Alex Ferguson left the club, we've seen players come in, we've seen players go. And it just basically hasn't worked out. When I think since Mourinho's come in, this is his third season now with Manchester United. I just basically think he's changed the whole identity at this club. The style of players currently changed as well. I don't think his philosophy isn't very, very good at the club, and I think the trappings of the club's just basically too high for Mourinho, and we should be in a much more commanding position than we're in now. Mourinho has had a good pedigree in the past, in the league, especially, with Chelsea, but he just hasn't done it with Manchester United for some reason. These players he has good relationships with here, Matic has a good relationship with him. I want him to drop the Nemanja Matic because I think Matic is absolutely crap, especially this season. But Mourinho has a good relationship with Matic. As I said, I think he should be giving Pereira the chance. I think players could leave. Pereira could leave the club. He isn't getting into the team. I think Mourinho needs to give him the chance, drop Matic. As I said, Fred, was on the bench yesterday. Yet again, Mourinho didn't bring him on. He paid £50 million for Fred. It is Jose Mourinho, so potentially he isn't really getting the chances. Fred, and potentially we only got 3 players during the window. We know potentially Ed Wood. He's had this disputes with Ed Woodward. Potentially Mourinho was frustrated that he didn't got a lot of the players in that he wanted to join the course of the summer. Potentially we have missed out on a lot of potential targets. As I said, but potentially what's happened to the Giggs, Scholes, Carrick, Van Nistelrooy, Ronaldo, Cantona, Vidic, Ferdinand, and all them. What's happened to them type of players? This is just a bunch of idiots. Basically not performing for Manchester United. And we're sitting in a position, we're sitting 7th, I think. We're sitting 14 points behind City. We're sitting 12 points behind Liverpool. I think we're 7 or is it 8 points off top 4 now. Mourinho said he wants to get the top 4 by January. And the way we're going, it's just basically not going to happen. So potentially, he's still looking for reinforcements. Potentially, we have to get Champions League for next season and get top 4 this season, obviously, for Mourinho to have any chance of keeping his job. I think the board need to react now on Jose Mourinho. Potentially, you can blame the players as well. And potentially, we've just got to accept, we're not the team they used to be. But I think regardless of who Mourinho brings in or in January or next summer, I think he should be still sacked and try and get a new manager in, to come and experience the newer era. Suss out if he thinks the majority of these players are good enough for Manchester United. Eventually, he might be able to suss out what's going wrong. Mourinho's used to this club now. It's not like it's year one again. It seems like year one again with him, but this is now his third year, so he should suss out the errors. He should know what team selection to pick. And he just doesn't seem to be doing it. Does Jose Mourinho at the club? But reportedly, potentially we could see players leave. Sanchez is lacking since he's come to the club. Matic hasn't done well this season. Lukaku hasn't scored in 11 games. He's on a goal drought as well. Martial didn't play well yesterday against Crystal Palace. Neither did Paul Pogba. Obviously, they'd been injured before that. Fellaini could have been sent off yesterday as well. Mourinho brought him on. He took Pogba off yesterday. I think he'd seen enough of him. Potentially, we could have lost that game yesterday to Crystal Palace, who were a bad side. They've only won 2 games all season. They had the 2 best chances of that game, to be quite honest with you. But potentially, we just need to address the problems. And I think the first problem we can solve is getting rid of Mourinho, getting a new manager in. Basically, what we need to do, because I just don't think Mourinho's the man. He's had 3 years. This is his 3rd season. He's only won 3 trophies since he's come to the club. We know he's sanctioned 14 players off, but Ed Wood was, I think, backing him because the potential having discussions about January. Potentially Marco Arnaoutivic has been mentioned in the press reportedly. He says Manchester United are willing to pay up to £50 million for Marco Arnaoutivic. He's a player that I think from his perspective, he come out in the press like a week or so ago, and he admitted that he did want to depart West Ham and leave West Ham. And he basically said that he wanted to play around better players and play in Champions League football. This was Marco Arnaoutivic. I think he's attracted a few interest from a few teams. Player. He's proven in the Premier League, Porter League. He's a good goal scorer. He's a prolific goal scorer. But do you think he'd be able to do it at Manchester United? Do you think he'd fit in the agenda well? Do you think he'd lead the lines well? Do you think he'd fit in alongside Rashford and Martial and all that, and Lukaku, Marco Arnaoutivic? But if Arnaoutivic wants to come in, that could maybe see, Sanchez depart the club. But Arnaoutivic, as I said, obviously, he's worked with Jose Mourinho in the past. I think Jose Mourinho would be keen on bringing Marco Arnaoutivic to Manchester United. From the player's perspective, he might be keen on the move himself. But potentially the player, he's been at 20 in the past 4 years and went to Inter Milan. Obviously, when Mourinho was there, obviously, I think he suffered an injury during his tenure with Inter Milan. I think he only played 3 times. I can't remember, something like that. And then went to Werder Bremen. He was a regular when it was first team. He was a regular. He was regularly getting played with Werder Bremen in the 3-year period he was there. And then he went to Stoke City. He scored 26 goals in 145 appearances for Stoke City. He was there about 4 years, something like that. West Ham got him for £20 million back in July last year. West Ham paid £20 million for him, and 4 performances for West Ham have been very, very good. He is a forward. Potential all in all in the Premier League, he's made about 168 appearances and he has scored 38 goals as the player. But our West Ham were willing to offload him. They did pay £20 million for him. He's only been there over a year, so if they want to get potentially £50 million, they will make a £30 million profit on the player as well. But potentially, do you think he'd deliver the goods at Manchester United if he was to come? He is known for scoring goals. As I said, he's a good finisher, and he's proven himself and established himself well at West Ham under Pellegrini. But potentially he has got that experience of working under Jose Mourinho, don't forget. And potentially, my opinion is this could see potentially Alexis Sanchez maybe leave the club. Sanchez will struggle now to get starts from the start, especially with Martial and Rashford playing on that left. Now Lukaku's back. And potentially for me, I think Sanchez should go. PSG have been interested in him. PSG linked him last year. He's on £500,000 here. And he just hasn't done it. And he's only been here since January. So whether he goes in January or next summer, Sanchez, I do not know. But he's only scored 4 goals since coming to the club. He's only provided a few assists. And his versatility can play in quite a few positions, mainly number 7. But it was good during his Arsenal days. I thought it was good Barcelona. It was good from the knees. But he hasn't done it at Manchester United, and potentially Mourinho says he doesn't expect Sanchez to leave. As I don't think though if Sanchez is mentioned about wanting to leave Manchester United. I do know that he feels unsettled. He isn't getting along with a lot of teammates here at the club. He isn't getting along with a lot of the teammates at the club, and he doesn't like Jose Mourinho's managerial style, or he doesn't like Jose Mourinho's basically full appearance at this club. Um, And potentially, in my opinion, we're not in the commanding position that we should be in. We're not scoring enough goals. This season, we're conceding far too many goals. We're 14 points behind top. And potentially, I think, with the club this size, based on the fantastic history, we've had, we're the best team in English football, as we all know. Historically, we're the best team in English football. We're great players had over the years with the success we achieved under Fergie. But we're no longer that team. We're not even in the top 10 now because we're nowhere near on the same levels as City, Liverpool, Chelsea, or any of the top European sides. We are nowhere near to that level. And we've got to somehow try and get back to the team how we were. Are we ever going to be the team that we used to be? I just don't potentially seeing it happen, and I'm not confident, with Mourinho at Manchester United that he can push us forward and help us graduate to that higher level. I just don't think he can do it because he's getting older now. He's had his great time, he's had his great experience at the other sides he's been at, but I don't potentially know. We're just not the team we used to be, and I think Sanchez will leave. We've got players coming to the end of the deals. We've got a catalogue of players that are coming to the end of the deals. But Arnaoutivic, of what I've watched of him, he does look a standout player for West Ham. But obviously, when he comes to Manchester United, he'll be experiencing a newer era. He'll be coming to a massive, massive club. He'll be coming to a new era, a massive club. He'll be experiencing all these facilities, and it'll be a new era for Arnaoutivic if he was to consider coming to the club. And Manchester United are preparing to put £50 million in for him. In January, reportedly, as well, it says. But potentially, as I updated you earlier on with the news of what was... and Mourinho's been involved in 10 goalless draws since he's come to Manchester United, so that's a bad statistic as well. And potentially to update you on with the news, Pogba could be leaving, De Gea could be leaving, as I updated you earlier on about the Paul Pogba news. Potentially hasn't really proven himself that well in English football. Reportedly, it's in the Sun. It's in a few media outlets like Inter Milan. Reportedly, they've got the CAO director Beppe Marotta. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Beppe Marotta. Reportedly, I think he's just took over as being the new Inter Milan director. He's the ex-Juventus director, and reportedly Marotta has brought this full narrative up of Inter Milan reportedly putting £200 million in for Pogba, and potentially also off Inter Milan offering two of their players as part of the deal, and a deal worth around £200 million. Marotta's obviously got a good relationship with Pogba because obviously he was the Juventus before he was the Juventus director, and reportedly he's brought this storyline up about potentially Inter Milan hijacking Juventus's move for Paul Pogba, and reportedly they're willing to pay up to £200 million. Plus Inter Milan are willing to offer two of their players to get Paul Pogba to the San Siro, according to the press. So it is a players plus cash deal. Players plus cash deal. So £200 million and plus two players to come to United and Pogba to go to Inter Milan. Inter Milan pay up a £200 million, pay up to like £200 million. But obviously we know with Inter Milan, obviously they're under financial fair play regulations. They can't confirm any signings. They can't get any players to their club until next summer, obviously under financial fair play. So they want to invest some money. They want to sanction a couple of players off, obviously to sanction his financial fair play situation off. Reportedly, they're willing to offer Ivan Perisic to try and get Pogba to Inter Milan. They're willing to offer Milan Skriniar as well. Potentially, to be fair, there have been Manchester United targets as well. But reportedly, Paul Pogba, as I said, it confirmed that he did want to leave Manchester United. Did Paul Pogba? He did want to leave Man United. He confirmed it to all the Juventus players that he does want to leave Old Trafford. I don't think he feels happy at Old Trafford under Mourinho, because we know he's had disputes with Jose Mourinho. As Paul Pogba, we know he's had disputes with Jose Mourinho, and since he's come to the Premier League, I think he's made 72 appearances, scored 14 goals, and he had 4 or 5 good years in Turin. You know, we let him go in 2012 because obviously he wasn't getting enough game time under Alex Ferguson. Was Pogba, so he went and he had 4 or 5 good years with Juventus. We paid £89 million for him, so we could make a huge profit on the player, Paul Pogba. I don't think Manchester United want to sell him, but obviously with supposedly Inter Milan offering up to 200 million plus 2 of their players as part of the deal, I think, you know, Jose Mourinho and Ed Woodward potentially, you know, would maybe consider it. And reportedly he's going to get tens of £millions spent in January. Potentially we'd need it. Potentially, you know, we'd have to either replace out of Pogba. Well, Perisic would be the replacement, wouldn't he? Because Perisic can play as an attacking mid. He mainly plays as a winner, doesn't he? And he can play as a second striker as well. And potentially, we know Man United have been potentially heavily linked with Ivan Perisic. Ivan Perisic, as I said, is highly experienced. As I said, he is 29 years of age. He's Ivan Perisic, and he is a very, very good winger. Potentially, as I said, he's not world class. Ed Woodward had potentially been in discussions with Inter Milan last summer over getting a deal materialised. Man United had 2 bids turned down for the player. Inter Milan were demanding that they wanted a £48 million. They wanted £48 million. Man United were reluctant to pay up to £48 million for Ivan Perisic. So this is why we never got a deal through. Reportedly, Inter Milan are demanding now. Well, they've reduced the price tag by about 17 million. So reportedly they want around £31 million, because essentially his progression this season for Inter Milan hasn't been that good, and he hasn't been to his potential this season as Ivan Perisic for them. But potentially, due to their financial fair play, they are looking to sanction him off Ivan Perisic. And he's been at Dortmund, I think he's been at Wolfsburg as well, and he's been at Club Brugge as the player as well. But potentially Inter Milan looking to sanction him off due to their financial fair play. As I said, so we could see Pogba go, and potentially there has been talks of Milan Skriniar as being part of the deal. As I said, he's potentially been a target for Chelsea, because obviously Sarri at Chelsea, we've got about 3-4 players enjoying this summer. Chelsea have got a good squad, as we all know. Chelsea are potentially looking to strengthen their central defensive position up. Reportedly, Milan Skriniar is 23. He can play as centre-back. He can play as a defensive midfielder. And reportedly, he is rated at around £70 million is the player, potentially. So he's been at Sampdoria in the past. He's been Inter Milan since 2017. He won the best under-21 player back in 2016. And Inter Milan, he did say Inter Milan were looking to renew his contract at Inter Milan. I think he's made about 48 appearances for Inter Milan anywhere. But potentially he's been interested by Chelsea. He's attracted the interest in Chelsea. And reportedly he could be part of the deal of Paul Pogba allegedly going to Inter Milan. Because it might just be talk, because it's not always true when they bring narratives up. It's not always true, but he's been in quite a few media outlets. So basically, you know, they are justifying their existence on this storyline of Paul Pogba of Inter Milan willing to put 200 million in, plus willing to offload 2 of their players. And the narratives just seem to come, you know, as Marotta is currently the director of Inter Milan. I don't know if it's been fully announced yet that he's the director of Inter Milan. But he's obviously the ex-director of Juventus as well, is the player. And if you've been watching about potentially the David De Gea news, potentially he could go next summer. Reportedly, Mourinho said quite a few weeks ago he wasn't too confident that De Gea was going to sign this new contract extension with Man United. Reportedly, he has refused it because obviously a lot of players and David De Gea himself is noticing the lack of ambition in the team. There's no leadership in the team, and De Gea is witnessing this, and I think he wants to go to a team that's a good team. He wants to elevate to a higher level. He wants to achieve silverware, and he probably feels that Manchester United under Mourinho especially, this is not going to happen. And potentially, as said, Juventus have been linked to him. It confirmed George Mendes had been in discussions with De Gea's representatives over him potentially making a move to Juventus. But according to the press, it's now said PSG are linked to him, and reportedly, it said Man United are looking to sanction him off, according to the press, for £75 million next summer. Because reportedly, Man U would rather cash in rather than let him go on the free of a player, of a keeper of that caliber. But potentially, we do either way. We do have the option to extend We do have the option to extend his current contract by a further year, so we could cash in for the player. But obviously, he's struggling to agree a new deal with Manchester United. But potentially could potentially become the highest paid goalkeeper in the world next summer, because it said PSG obviously under financial fair play regulations as well. Obviously a bit comparable to Inter Milan. Obviously this is due to that PSG invested a lot of money on the likes of Neymar and Mbappe, and they had to sanction players off. They've got Buffon in goal at the moment. I think they've got a second choice keeper as well. But potentially they're under financial fair play, and potentially they're willing to put £60 million in for David De Gea, willing to offer £300,000 a week, which would make the highest paid goalkeeper. Also offer him a 4-year contract on top of that, and offer him over 15 million year annual salary as well, David De Gea. So will he be tempted to leave? Man United demand that they want around £75 million for him next summer, because potentially there is no progression, there is no signs of De Gea signing his contract extension, but he has been fantastic for United. He's been in the Premier League now, he's at 8 years or so, he's won Player of the Year 4 out of 5 seasons. He's very, very good with Atletico Madrid as well, was potentially David De Gea. And potentially, he's made over 2 century appearances in the Premier League as David De Gea. I think he's kept just under 100 clean sheets in the Premier League. Potentially for me, the best goalkeeper in the world. If he does go, I will potentially miss him. Then obviously, Man United will be in the market to try and find a potential replacement as a goalkeeper for David De Gea. We know the other week there were talks potentially about Jordan Pickford, coming in. If potentially David De Gea does leave the club. But potentially, there has been a lot of rumours going on with Pogba leaving and De Gea leaving. There has been a lot of rumours going on about that in the press as well. We know we've heard the rumours Man U being linked with Toby Alderweireld, Man United being linked with Diego Godin, Man United being linked with Nikola Milkovic. So these are the players that Manchester United are interested in. Mourinho said he wants to get rid of Bailey. Rojo, according to him, because Bailey, who can't get into starting 11 at the moment, he's thought he said Arsenal and Tottenham have been interested in him. Potentially Rojo, for me, hasn't been the same player since the Anderlecht game. Potentially for me, he's looking, potentially Darmian, he's coming to an end of his current deal as well. Reportedly, I think Darmian wants to leave, even though he started the Crystal Palace game yesterday. Potentially Darmian wants to leave. Potentially there's a few Italian clubs interested in him. I think Mourinho said he wants to keep him at least till the end of the season. We know potentially Luke Shaw's been playing at that left back position, as we all know. And Chris Smalling, Man United are in talks of securing him a new deal as well. Same with Valencia and Ashley Young. Obviously Bill 33 now, we're looking to extend 1-year deals on their contracts. So there's a lot of players could extend the deal. So there's a lot to sort out at this club at the moment. Mourinho and Edward have got a plan who they want to get in, who they want to sanction off. So we could be losing Pogba, he could be going. I don't think Edward wants him to leave. I think he'll be absolutely, reluctant to let him go. But obviously, with his price tag that's been rumoured in the press, what Inter Milan are preparing to pay, and plus offering to offer 2 of their players as well that Mourinho's admired and that Mourinho's took an interest in. Potentially it will tempt Manchester United to get rid of Pogba, because he hasn't really proven himself in English football. As I said, he is essentially, our best midfielder, because you can tell the balance of play and the style of playing that midfield is definitely different without Pogba in the midfield. He had a bad game yesterday against Crystal Palace. And potentially, as I said, Pogba could leave, De Gea could leave, Pogba could leave, De Gea could leave, Sanchez could leave, especially if Archie was to come in. There's been, talks about potentially Rashford maybe leaving the club. There's been rumours about potentially Real Madrid have been heavily linked to him. He's also mentioned that Real Madrid have been linked to him. It also potentially mentioned Juventus were linked to him as well. Marcus Rashford, he come out in the press saying if he doesn't get first team football, he will consider making the move to Real Madrid. We know Real Madrid have bought 23 Premier League players since 2000, so they are known for buying Premier League players around Madrid. Obviously, Real Madrid lost Ronaldo. Obviously, Real Madrid lost Ronaldo, did Real Madrid. And potentially, Rashford said he'll consider going to Madrid if he isn't getting first team football. He didn't start yesterday. He came on as a sub in the Crystal Palace game, did Marcus Rashford. And potentially for me, I wouldn't want to see him go because he is a good young age talent. He is a year younger than Martial. His current contract comes to an end in 2020. Does Marcus Rashford's. And potentially, he's a good player. He's made more appearances than any other United player in the last couple of seasons. He is a good player, Rashford. I do like him. He hasn't been to his potential best this season, but I wouldn't want to see him go because he has risen up the ranks fantastically well. He has been a Manchester United player since the age of 7. He's got a fantastic pedigree, of scoring on his debut as well as Marcus Rashford. And potentially for me, I hope he stays at the club, Marcus Rashford. As I said, Man United are reportedly looking to double his wages, to try and keep him at Old Trafford. But potentially he's only 21 years of age, so he still needs to grow and develop. I think his finishing needs to improve as well. Does Marcus Rashford? He's in the Premier League. He's made about 89 appearances, something like that. Scored 19 goals in Man United. So yeah, potentially for me, we could also see him go. Martial, we could potentially see him go as well. He's definitely been our best player this season, Anthony Martial. Without a shadow of a doubt, he has been our best player this season. Mourinho's praised his performances, even though he hasn't had the best relationship with a player. He wasn't so good yesterday against Crystal Palace, even though he did have chances of his own. Anthony Martial, for me, reportedly Tottenham interested in him during the course of summer. Man United have been in discussions of trying to secure him a new deal at the club. Reportedly, the discussions and that have not been successful. He turned down the previous contract offer, did Martial, and reportedly it's not looking very, very good. So he's looking like at the moment he's not going to sign this new deal. So potentially, when your team's doing bad, you get players, that want to leave your club, and that's how it is. And under Mourinho, I just don't think we're going to elevate to that higher level, under Mourinho. I might be wrong. Louis Saha has confidence. He believes that he can turn it around at Old Trafford. He said that on Sky Sports. He has faith in Martial as well. He can help us achieve something. We can't just rely on a piece of brilliance from one player. It takes 11 players a team, not one player. And that's what it is. And we're not working as a team. We're not just not doing it. And we just look at total shambles. The football's boring. And, it just doesn't satisfy me at all. This football Manchester United are playing at this moment in time. But potentially, what do you think to the orphanage news? This is the main part of the video. What do you think to the orphanage news? Do you think he'd dramatically improve Manchester United if he was to come in the club? I don't really know, but there has been rumours that Man United are willing to put up to £50 million in for him. Potentially, we got Romelu Lukaku for £75 million. But potentially, Orphanage might come in United and he might potentially do well. He might lead the lines well. He might score goals. You never know, do you? But we do need a few signings in that squad, especially. And so that's about it. So anyway, guys, that's an update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe to my channel as always, and take care. God bless, guys, and I'll see you all again on my next video. Bye.